conversation. Oops. To have a conversation between a potential fund seeker and a potential funder. So I think just for simplicity's sake, unless you're on the panel at this point, if you could take video off so that we only have the foundations that are on our panel, as well as the presenters showing right now. Jenna will be pulling up some slides in just a second, so we'll get that going. But thank you to the Hagar House and Bridge Community Clinic and McLitt for being our volunteers this morning to make their presentations. And also thank you to Pam Jackson from the BA and Esther Greenheck Foundation, Jeff Stubbe from the Dwight and Linda Davis Foundation, and Ann Worth, who is the Distributions Committee Chair of the Community Foundation. Thank you for being our panel. You'll be kind of, again, doing a simulation where you will just walk through the process of speaking with a potential fund seeker. So to begin with, Jenna, can we get some slides going? And again, if you're not on the panel, if you could turn your video off, that would be helpful. So, okay. So we're going to start by having the foundation leaders do a short introduction of themselves and their organization. And I will start as the Community Foundation of North Central Wisconsin. We are always excited to talk to potential fund seekers. And if Jenna can bring my slide up, that would be awesome. She's getting there.
Sorry, having some technical difficulties.
Sure. What we always say at the Community Foundation before you put it in an application, please have a contact with me, whether that's an email or a phone call or a text or whatever it is, to just let me know that you're thinking about putting some proposals into the Community Foundation. When you begin that conversation, just be prepared. Prepare to introduce yourself. Let me know what agency you are with. What's the overview of your project? What's the timeline of your project? What funds are needed? And what the current status of your particular project is right now. Have you already gotten funding? Is it $1 million project and you've already gotten 150 or 250,000 from the BA and Esther Greenheck Foundation or from the Davis Foundation or someone? Let us know where you're standing with your fundraising efforts at that time. And you will learn from me. I'm going to see, can I get these? I can't. What you will learn from me when you contact the Community Foundation, you will learn which applications within the foundation you could apply for. And I will talk you through the application process. So I am the first one on board with the Community Foundation that you talk to. Once you put in your proposals, your application does go to our Distributions Committee. And I'm actually going to turn that over to Ann Worth. And she's going to talk a little bit about what our Distributions Committee looks for and what we look for in a application that we look at through our community enhancement grants.
Thank you, Sue, and good morning, everyone. Community enhancement funds are the foundation's most flexible resources in impacting the needs of the community as they arise. There's certain deadlines and grant ranges, and our grants are considered they have to be in for the first business day of March, June, September, and December. We do them quarterly. And the grant range from $1,000 to $100,000. The number of things that we generally fund are nonprofits, 501c3s, Greater Wausau Area and Marathon County, tangible, long-term, new programs, equipment, and capital improvements. And tangible is a key word. Our funding priorities are in the arts, education, health, resource preservation, and in social services. And submitting an application is quite easy. Register online. There's an application site, and choose the appropriate applications that you are looking at applying for, and complete it and submit it in a timely manner.
Yeah, and that's what you're going to get with that first conversation with me. I will give you the direction of maybe you want to put an application into the Schlueter Foundation or the Kresge Family Foundation, community enhancement grants, and I'll give you an idea how much to ask for in each of those funding options for you. So that's how you begin the conversation with the Community Foundation. Let's turn it over to, Pam Jackson from the B.A. and Esther Greenheck Foundation. Let's talk about the B.A. and Esther Greenheck Foundation a little bit.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. The B.A. and Esther Greenheck Foundation was started back in 1998, and we fund in the areas of arts, education, health, and social and economic development in Marathon County. As far as the application process goes, many of you are familiar with it, I know. We have an online process as well. You go to our website and click on grants, and that will take you through the process. We also encourage people to meet with us before you just go ahead and apply, because it really helps us understand your project or program better, and really gives you the best chances of being funded. If the more we know, the more we can present that to our board. So requests for under $5,000 are reviewed monthly. So that's just something to keep in mind, you know, when you're looking at your budget and timing and when you would need funding. Our applications are due by midnight, the last Wednesday of the month prior to our board meeting. We meet in February, April, June, August, October, and December. So for example, for December, for our December meeting, the applications are due the last Wednesday in November. We still are taking applications for our December meeting, and we do have some funds to distribute, about $240,000 to distribute yet in 2021. So if you're a last minute person like myself, it's not too late, perhaps. You can reach me by email at the foundation, or by phone. I've included on here as well. We have granted over $27 million in Marathon County since we started in 1998, and we distribute about $2.5 million every year. Next. So things we look for in an application, in a well-written application, is clarity. Are you, very concise in explaining what your project is? Sometimes it helps to have somebody who's not familiar with your project at all to look at your application and see if they have any questions, or, anything's not clear to them. We like to see collaboration. Who are you working with in the community? What other organizations are you connected with and, sharing resources with, or things like that? Community, what is the impact in this community? How will this enhance our community? Is this a duplication of services in our area? In some instances, there are duplications, but it may be necessary, dealing with homelessness and things like that. We need a lot of services for that. And your budget, accurately representing your project. We do provide project programming and capital funding, as well as sponsorship. And in some cases, we do some operational support as well. Some of the recent grant recipients, I tried to include just a little variety of everything, some new things that are going on in the community. The Achieve Center with their treatment-focused childcare, Community Partners Campus, the renovation at the Boys and Girls Club, the hub at Rise Up, CATS, Keeping Area Teens Safe, the Sprouts Preschool at Monk Garden, Bridge Street Mission, and a diversity study with WIPS. And I just included this quote in here. I don't know who said it. John Hattenhauer actually quoted it at a event a few years ago, and I just loved it. It just really was impactful. If there's any good that I can do, or any kindness that I can show another human being, let me do it now, for I shall not pass this way again. So I just thought that was kind of, I don't know, it stuck with me for several years, so I thought I'd share it.
Great quote, Pam. Thank you for that. I do want to make another comment. We've worked this year with the BA and Esther Green Heck Foundation because we both do use the same online application system. And you will now see that our applications pretty much do mirror each other. They're the exact same applications asking the same question. So that's one of the efforts that we made this year, is to make the application process a little bit easier for you. As you'll see the list of grants that were supported by BA and Esther Green Heck, many of them also supported by the Community Foundation. This way it makes the application process a little bit easier for each applicant. So we're really proud of that. We also have one more deadline coming up, and I might have cut you off and you were probably going to announce that we do have one more cycle in 2021, and we do have about $150,000 yet to award. So please feel free to apply to the Community Foundation as well. Jeff Stubbe, let's talk about the Davis Foundation.
Good morning, thank you. We can move on to the next slide, please. So real quickly, our purpose is to enhance communities through quality of life and economic development. We've been very proactive in senior care and economic development with the senior care, with the landing, and economic development with the mall redevelopment project. Our mission is to demonstrate a best-in-class organization, and we like to make impactful grants. We also like to add leadership and advice to enhance the project and program success. So right now we don't have an online application process, and if you move forward, we'll get into, I'll talk about our focus, and I'll get into the our process a little bit for grant applications. Currently, our geographic emphasis is Wausau, Marathon County. That's where Dwight and Linda made their money. Door County is where they live most of the year because they're into sailing, and you can't sail their 40-foot boat on Lake Wausau. Chippewa Falls and Chippewa County, we do a little bit there. Linda was born in Chippewa Falls, and Plymouth and Sheboygan County, we do a little bit there because Dwight was born there. But I would say the majority, probably 80% of the money that we have been granting is Wausau, Marathon County. And as we continue to grow, that percentage will probably increase in Wausau, Marathon County. As I mentioned, really try to make high impact grant making. We're primarily capital projects or a special program, not operations. There's a few exceptions. We do a few small operational grants, United Way and a few things, but for the most part, it's capital projects and programs. And we really look to benefit a large number of people over an extended period of time. It's a pretty, I'm not going to go through each one of these. It's an exhaustive fields of interest. It's quite a list. And right now we're primarily reactive in all of those areas, except we're being proactive in senior citizens and economic development, which means we're being more hands-on and more directly involved in finding opportunities in those areas right now. That changes over time as needs change, but we felt in the economic development area with the Greater Wausau Prosperity Partnership and the economic development plan that was coming forth, one of the first really strong ones in our community, it was a good time to be focused in that area. So our grant request process, we may go at some point to an online application, but we will not eliminate the face-to-face meeting. We feel that's very important and ask a lot of questions, really understand the project. And those of you that have worked with us know that we try to offer, not only do we ask questions, we try to offer advice and solutions and things to make things better, even if we don't end up funding the particular project. When we meet, we go through a mental process to say, okay, do we fall into the fields of interest? Does it fall into the geographic focus? And then we provide the information because every project is different. The needs aren't the same. So each grant request is a little bit unique, and we might ask different things of different people, depending on the history of the organization, startup versus someone that's been around a long time. And then we make a recommendation to the board of directors, and they evaluate the request and make the final determination on that. I think that's it.
Great, thank you, thank you. As you'll see, the process is pretty similar with most foundations. The conversation is very important up front, and I know that everyone that is on the panel right now representing foundations, we definitely encourage those conversations to happen before you put in a proposal with us. So with that, let's go through our simulations. Our foundation panel is going to have some fun working with the presenters right now, hearing what their project is, and hopefully we can give some suggestions on how to make the project maybe even a little stronger as they go through the application process. And again, the whole idea of this is to have strong proposals come before the selection committees that are going to look at your proposal. So we're going to start out with Bridge Community Clinic, and we have Jennifer Smith, the Executive Director of Bridge Community Clinic, who will be giving us a little bit of information on their upcoming capital campaign.
Awesome. Thanks, Sue.
Thanks, Jen.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to see everybody virtually. As Sue said, I'm Jen Smith. I'm the Executive Director here at Bridge Community Health Clinic. I've been with the clinic 9 years, coming up on 5 years in the Executive Director role. So for those of you who may not be as familiar with Bridge Community Health Clinic, we are a federally qualified health center located primarily here in Wausau. We were originally founded to help serve the cultural needs of our Southeast Asian refugees beginning in the late 80s. And so we have a very diverse patient panel that we see. We see people from all walks of life, those with insurance, those without insurance, those that are homeless. So we really, our purpose and mission is always to fill gaps as a federally qualified health center. And that's really where our focus lies. So we'll get a little bit into what we're planning on the next slide for the capital project. Currently, we are in a space that has been unchanged on the medical front since 1995. Our total square footage that we're looking to replace is currently about 13,000 square feet. And in 2017, we realized that with increasing needs in the community, and especially increasing needs for integrated medical behavioral health care, we really needed to do something different in how we deliver that care. And so we've launched an initiative to really integrate medical, behavioral health, and dental services. Our barrier is space. And that is why we're looking at doing a purpose-built building that really meets the needs of our patients and community better, and also our staffing needs to support that work. So we've been planning this since 2017. In 2019, right at the end of the year, we purchased multiple plots of land north of the clinic. So from our current clinic on 2nd Street all the way up to East Wausau Avenue, and then also purchased a building that is across the street, which we have already taken down and replaced with our first community garden program. So we purchased all those properties in 2019. We were set to launch our capital campaign, and then COVID hit. And as you can imagine, with being a federally qualified health center, providing medical, dental, and behavioral health services during a pandemic, we really have needed to focus our efforts there. And also really didn't feel right about asking the community for funds when there are so many other needs as have been impacted by the pandemic. So we're ready to start this conversation. We're very excited and really grateful to be able to actually have this first public conversation today. So we're looking at a 23,000 square foot purpose-built building. We've really looked at multiple ways to re-engineer our current space and be a good steward of that space. none of those are really sustainable, frankly, without shutting down the clinic. And that's something that we can't do in serving the community the way that we do. Some of the other pieces to this project, other than the clinic, are really aimed around giving back to the community and the neighborhood that we're in. We'll be consolidating the clinic's 2 main community garden sites. We have a very robust community garden program. It really enhances the health of a lot of our patients that don't necessarily have access to fresh foods. We do a lot of donation out of our community garden sites where we grow produce, donating them to different public housing sectors and things like that, and the Neighbor's Place. And that's a program that we will continue. We'll also be constructing an open air, a roofed outdoor teaching space, a future market space. That will be down toward East Wausau Avenue. And that's a place that we really need for our free healthy eating programs that we do. I'm really looking forward to getting back to that with an appropriate space. There will be a major alteration renovation of what was the Woodworkers Mart. That is the brick building that we've taken down part of already, all the demos done. And we'll be revamping that into a space that the clinic can use for group education, community classes, projects, collaborations with a lot of our community partners. It offers some space for local businesses and local neighborhood members to use for other events and teachings. So we're very excited about that. And really at the end of the day, you know, we're helping to beautify an area of 2nd Avenue that had, or 2nd Street, sorry, that had some pretty major blight that's been sitting there for a long time. So we're very excited about what we're able to give back. So why are we doing this now? Again, we have not been altered really significantly in the medical space since 1995. It really just does not meet our space needs for integrated care. And so we did look over several years at ways to build up, build out, do a major alteration renovation. But at the end of the day, when you're talking truly integrated medical behavioral health care, where you have a medical team working in concert with a behavioral health team who also may need some AODA assistance, we just can't do that in our current space. We also don't have any space for volunteer specialists. So we have had over the years many specialists that volunteer their time, partially because of COVID and the way that we've had to respace our care teams. We have lost our capability to have those on site, which really is a barrier to a lot of the patients that we serve. We also have a robust and growing health education program, which is really impactful for our patients and their clinical outcomes. We need space for that. The other thing that we found is family and bariatric rooms. So our current exam rooms are very, very small, and a lot of our families are large. And when they come, we need a better space. So each pod will include family / geriatric rooms. The behavioral health side is our biggest expansion. And so we retrofit into a small expansion in 2009, a little bit of space to allow for a couple of therapist offices. Now we have 2 therapists, 3 therapists, we just added 1. We have 1 psych nurse practitioner. We have a new to us psychologist and a psychiatric nurse practitioner, or RN. And so we have the capability to add, we have no space to add. And actually, in fact, we are looking to go temporarily off-site while we're doing the build project so that we can expand, because the needs, especially during the pandemic, have increased so exponentially. And we literally are turning patients away on a daily basis, which does not at all feel good for our mission. The other things we're unable to do right now are AODA services of any kind. We're poised to do that. We have the trained staff in place. We need space. And group therapy. Group therapy is evidence-based for really a whole cadre of conditions. We have 0 space to do that. So then we have some general needs that have been really revealed. In a way, it's kind of a blessing that COVID-19 stalled our project, because it revealed things to us that we wouldn't have thought of pre-pandemic. places for staff to change. We need screening spaces for people coming in, isolations rooms, reworks of the workspaces. So, you know, really our care needs have changed a lot, and COVID-19 has really shown us how complex those care needs have become. And that our clinic is really one of the only clinics in the area that is poised to do this kind of innovative whole person care. We just need the space to do that. So on the project impact, really in the medical space, it doubles our space. In the therapy space, it triples our space. On an average year, non-COVID year, we see about 7,000 unique patients across our whole house with about 23,000 visits. So over time, as we strategically hire to fill space over those first couple of years, we know that we would be at least doubling capacity without a problem. We really are looking at how we wrap around care for the patients that we have. A lot of our patients experience homelessness, trauma, legal issues, very comorbid conditions where mental health might be driving some impacts to their physical health, or their physical health needs might be driving some impacts in the mental health space. So having this space will really allow us to get our arms around that in a better way. We've seen a huge increase. Back in 2019, about 25% of all of our clinic visits included a mental health and or substance use disorder component. In 2020, that went up 13%. We are running our numbers for 2021 and do expect for that to be even higher this year. And you can also see kind of what our average patient breakdown is. Again, we are one of the largest continuous care providers for those in our area that are underinsured, uninsured, and underserved. So project status, again, we talked a little bit, we purchased the properties, our design build partner was selected. We have 85% of garden number 1 completed. Our building plans are completed. We have some final tweaks that we need to do relative to some of those COVID impacts. We have also met with our preliminary financer. I do want to mention that the clinic is financially very stable. We went into this project having paid off a small amount of remaining long-term debt. So we're going into this project debt-free, and our plan is to be debt-free 3 to 5 years out of this project. We are excited to be launching a capital campaign here this winter. And again, today it's our first public conversation of that really since 2019. And we are shovel ready. And so really in the spring, as long as we can hit some of our targets, we would be comfortable moving forward with the project. Quick overview, this is just an aerial view. The blue areas are the existing 2-pieced dental clinic because that had an expansion in 2013. Anything to what would be the south of that dental clinic is our current clinic space. That will be demolished for future build space and additional parking space, which I know this area needs with some of the community partners here. And that'll give us some space to work with in the future. The orange section represents at least the main level of the new build. Quick next slide, that's a little bit of a rendering of what the outside could look like, a nice view of that. And then into the funding part. So this just is a breakdown of where we're at. The project has changed quite a bit budget-wise because of COVID impacts to build expenses. Hopefully those will continue to come down. The clinic has been saving our pennies for this for a number of years. We're bringing $3.5 million of our own funds. We've secured almost $600,000 of federal funds, and we do have a very gracious major donor pledge of $600,000. So that leaves us a little over 3.2 to raise. We do have potential for about a $1.2 million capital campaign and are looking at a state capital grant that is potentially open to us due by the end of this month. We'd like to have 90% of the funds secured before breaking ground, but we do have options also then for a three-year payout. So really that is a very brief overview of a complex project. And I really appreciate you taking the time to consider an investment in the community's health, and would welcome talking with anyone individually if they would like more information. Thanks so much.
Jen, this is Jeff Stubbe. A question, and you saw in Pam's Jackson's presentation, they had the word copy, and they looked at, you know, duplication of services in the community. Can you contrast for me and for everyone else here the services that Ridge Clinic offers compared to what people might get at the Marathon County Healthcare Center, and now the new free clinic that's going in, that will be going into the community partner campus?
Sure, Jeff, that's a really great question. So federally qualified health centers like us are pretty unique. We are charged with providing an entire cadre of services that are very unique to our setting and unlike others. So specifically to the comparison with the county mental health services. So on an outpatient basis, the way that we provide integrated care that includes primary medical care into that patient's service panel is very different. That is not something that's under the purview of the county mental health. So we provide outpatient therapy. We can provide AOD services to those patients that also applies. We are adding in a cadre of psych testing. And again, this is really aimed at people who may be uninsured. We have a sliding fee discount scale. And so really at the end of the day, all a patient may pay for their service if they qualify for that, for a slide A, which is 100%, is $25 for a visit. So our slide is quite different than the county slide as well. In comparison to a free clinic, so free clinics, and we work very closely and collaboratively with the free clinic. Free clinics are generally a very limited scope of service. So it's more episodic care. I have an active current infection. I have a sore throat. I have something like that going on. Whereas we provide very comprehensive care, and again, in an integrated way for all of their needs, which also includes dental. So we're pretty unique. We're actually very unique in the area, and especially in terms of the access. We also provide a lot of wraparound enabling services, cab rides for people who need transportation assistance, on-site interpreting services for anything that they need, enrollment into all cadre of insurances. So it's a very wraparound type of service that we can provide almost from head to toe, specialties aside. Did that help to clarify?
Yeah, and I think my advice would be, as you put together materials to, when you start to go out to meet funders, to tell that story. The one other thing I would add, and then I'll let others jump in, is you know, people do business with people, and it would be really good to put out, you know, information about your board and management, who's involved, and your volunteers, and some of those things, because that there's value to that. There might be a funder out there that says, geez, I didn't know Susie was involved in this, you know, that type of thing. So I think that's good to have. It's good to identify your valuable volunteers, your valuable employees, and your board.
That's really great advice, Jeff. And I appreciate that, because we tend to be kind of the area's best kept secret, and we just quietly go about what we do. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm just to keep this one moving on so we can go on to the next one. I would like Ann and Pam to have an opportunity to say something. Well, Pam was ready a couple seconds ago, so we'll let Pam have a comment or two as well.
Okay, I just have more, I guess, a couple comments than any questions. First of all, the fact that you would only be coming to the community for, like, what is it, 15% of your total project is very unique, and congratulations on that. I know some of that's federal funding, so possibly not a done deal yet, but anyway, I think I was just really impressed with that, and the fact that you have that Bridge community has so much skin in the game. I mean, you've really been thoughtful about this whole process, and that's really impressive. And the fact that you're just providing such needed services in our community. So I'm excited about seeing where this goes.
Great. Thank you, Pam.
Nice presentation, Jen. My question is, you're impressive with your low moderate income that you serve. My question regards to the Community Foundation is, our funding is through Marathon County. We'd like to know how many of your clients are from Marathon County as opposed to coming from Lincoln or Portage, Stephen, Taylor, any of those. And then you started out with that the clinic was started to strengthen the relationship with the Hmong population. And my comment would be to maybe bring in what you have done through the decades to strengthen that and keep that community. Let us know what you're doing to do what your original mission was. Other than that, Jeff had asked my question about the partnerships, and nice presentation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Anne. Appreciate it.
Jen, thank you so much. That was a very comprehensive presentation, and we really appreciate it. It's the first time I've heard about the project, so I was kind of excited about that. We do look forward to continued conversation.
Great.
Our next project is the Hager House. This is one that many people in the community may not have heard of. It's a newer project. So we have Jessica Brettel with us, who is the director of the new Hager House. So we'll let you ladies take this one on. And Diane.
Great. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. And really, thank you for having us. I am Jessica Brettel, the president and founder of the Hager House.
And I'm Deanne Westerhouse, the vice president.
We are really excited to invite you guys into possibly partnering with us on this project. The Hager House is a new project, a new nonprofit. We are a faith-based, long-term home for women and children in crisis. And we are unique in the area because we are going to be offering a significant amount of time in a place of respite, surrounded by intentional support that we know will bring impacting change long-term. I'll be honest and say that this passion for this project really started 9 years ago when I unexpectedly found myself parenting alone. And I was not prepared for the overwhelming responsibility and the obstacles that my children and I faced to be successful. And for 9 years, I have met and seen again and again this same need and this same issue. So I can tell you that we are doing well, my family and I, stable and strong this many years later, for probably one reason in particular. And that was the support that came around us. That was absolutely key and pivotal to getting us to where we are today. And that's the vision of the Hager House. We want to provide that life-changing, life-sustaining resource for other single moms in our area, because the odds are really stacked against these families, and it's critical, the outcomes of these things. And we're going to share a little bit about why this matters.
So single parents make up over 1 out of 5 families in Marathon County, according to countyoffice.org. That is 4,300 families. And of those, 29% of the children in female parent homes are below the poverty line. The Wausau School District alone in the 2021 school year indicated that 134 of their students were homeless. And if that's not disheartening enough, you can see by the other statistics listed here about children from single parent homes that there's a high correlation between single parent homes and suicide, homelessness, runaway, behavior issues, chemical abuse, and being placed in juvenile institutions. So the Wisconsin, oh, no, sorry, I'm still on that slide. Thank you. Because I want to talk a little bit about ACEs. ACEs are adverse childhood experiences. It really covers how traumas and toxic stress in a child's life contribute to the consequences and causes of these behavioral risks, as you can see kind of in the circle here. These cycles of adversity can affect families for generations. But the good news is these adverse childhood experiences and the harms they cause can be prevented and lessened. And how that's done is by putting caring adults around children to provide a safe, stable, and nurturing relationships and environments. And that's where the Hager House hopes to come in. As a social worker for over 25 years, and 8 of those were here in Marathon County as a child protective services worker, I can tell you firsthand that intercepting those cycles of crisis in a way that supports families and strengthening them and keeps them together really helps children and decreases those negative impacts. So while there are a number of agencies that are working to meet the needs of families in Marathon County, we're designed to meet those needs in a little unique way.
Yes, next slide. Okay, so we are all about collaborating with the existing resources, as you can see in here in our model. So Bridge Street Mission, they provide food to homeless men and women, and they have a sober living facility, but that's just for men. So the women that come to them, they have no resource for them. They can possibly send them to an outside county, but they are incredibly excited to be partnering with us. The women's community, amazing resource. Their lane is really specifically domestic violence, sexual assault, and sexual abuse. They are a short-term emergency only center where the average stay is about 3 months. So there leaves this large population of single moms and kiddos in crisis that don't quite meet that need, and there is nowhere for them. So in talking with the women's community on several different occasions, they are super excited and welcoming for another resource for women and children in the area. We could very well be a good next step for a mom and kiddos at their place. They're past that emergency stage, but they still need a little bit more time. 3 months is not enough time to really rebuild and have your feet underneath you. And then that opens up emergency beds for them. So they are incredibly excited about us. Hope Pregnancy Resource Center, they provide a variety of pregnancy resources, but they're seeing that increased need for housing. So they too are really excited about working with us. And then just yesterday, we actually met with the Community Action Program, and we were really surprised. They said on a daily basis, they have women and kids come in that are homeless and they have no resources for them. Everything is either full or they don't fit a particular lane. And they said that the warming shelter obviously only takes adults, so that's not an avenue. And that the Salvation Army, while they have plenty of beds for men and women, there's 1 family bed for the entire Marathon County. And so we see this gap in services for this group of families. And so we're collaborating with all of them and more. We are going to be working with Joseph Project, Social Services, the Hannah Center, Ruby's Pantry, and all sorts of ways that we want to make this an integrated community effort. And it really is going to take community involvement. And that is why we are really hoping and asking you to come alongside us in the important and critical work of the Hagar House.
Next slide. You can see that our first year campaign goal is for $740,000. That includes the property purchase, renovations that are needed, and our first year operational costs. So focusing on the $425,000 for the home, we have had a supporter who has secured the property for us. And we have a detailed and outlined legal contract with them indicating our intent to purchase. It has a 2-year term so that we can continue to raise those funds over that time. The location is at 915 5th Street. It's on 5th and Fulton. We're actually in it right now. We'd love to give you a tour sometime. So if you'd like to show up, just let us know. We'll give you a tour. It's amazing. They've kept it as a home, even though it used to be the Kinsey Green Group Marketing. So maybe you're familiar with that. It's got over 4,000 square feet. It has plenty of bathrooms and closet space, which is amazing for a home, of this age. It's, near bus lines and resources here in Wausau. So we're very excited about that. You'll see the next area there is the $75,000 for renovations. That really covers, we have a fire escape on the 2nd floor. There is not currently one on the 3rd floor. So we would need to connect the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor fire escape. Also, we are going to put a safety fence around the perimeter. That needs to be done, as well as just a security system, a basic one with cameras and things of that, just to ensure the safety of everyone inside the home. We're confident about the $240,000 operating expenses, because we've worked closely with a home in a contiguous county that operates under a similar scope to develop that. That budget also includes 24/7 staff here at the home. As you look, we have some exciting opportunities to offer you.
So we'll go back real quick. Our legacy sponsor. So we have 6 rooms here, and we have a conditional use permit from the county or the city to be able to house up to 20 adults or 20 people, 6 adults and women and then their children. And so we have 6 rooms, and we are offering a legacy sponsorship that for $50,000, you can sponsor a room, and the foundation gets to name that room in honor of an inspirational woman. And that would forever be there. The plaque would be placed, and then we have a special gala in the spring that we'd be planning for those folks.
And also our longevity. That's a sponsorship which walks a family through a full year of growth and development by donating a one-time gift of $36,000.
And our loyalty sponsor, we're just asking that we create a team of people that will walk with us in these first few years. And so $25,000 a year for 3 years is our loyalty sponsor.
So where are we at now? So we just want to share with you a little bit what's happened in the last 3 months. Oh, that's okay. You can stay back on the other slide, but that's okay. In the last 3 months, we received over $50,000 in donations. We've secured personal pledges of ongoing support of over $80,000. We've met with churches, and we've had 4 of those that are committed to being pillar sponsors. A pillar sponsor is a business or church or other entity that is willing to commit $10,000 a year over the next 3 years. So we have 4 of those. We're continuing to reach out to foundations. Actually, we are working on our enhancement grant and our Green HEC grant. And we actually, right as we speak, we have a retired professional grant writer who is looking over it for us, because we did want that outside resource to kind of look it over. So you'll be seeing those soon. We're continuing to reach out to churches and businesses and individuals. And we have an exciting fundraising event coming up on December 8th at the Jefferson Street Inn. So each one of these opportunities will create lasting impact.
So how are we going to create this lasting impact? By addressing the underlying causes. So alleviate burdens and barriers. We are going to provide financial relief while they're here and give them time for their brains to switch from crisis survival mode to being able to make long-term plans for their future. We will also provide budgeting classes, financial classes, things of that nature. Strengthen skills and abilities. We are going to be giving them job opportunities or training opportunities, resume building, interview skills, developing healthy family relationships, parenting classes. We're going to connect them with key female mentors in the area. We're already starting that training program and have a lot of amazing women committed to that. And then also a relationship development course, things here that we'll teach in the house for, improve individual and family health. We're going to coordinate them with services that are already available, great counselors and overall medical care. Sounds like we need to be in touch with Jen as we were listening to her pitch. We would love to meet with you. And then foster lasting community connections. This is the thing that is going to be the key difference. We want to get community groups, church groups, and families that are coming alongside these families that will walk with them even after they're no longer living here at the Hagar House. We're going to intervene to end cycles of crisis. All of these things will strengthen and equip these families with new tools, and we'll encourage them with accountability that will set these families up for success. So we have a property, we have a plan, a detailed 20-page business plan, and we're working to continue on that. And we have growing citywide support from an amazing city and county. So what we need now is we need you. The venture, while it is an important venture, it does not come without a price tag, but the Hagar House is a solid investment, and the entire community will reap the benefits of it.
Thank you, ladies. I know because this is a newer venture, our foundation leaders will have questions to ask. Pam, why don't you take this one up right away? I know this might have been the first time you've heard much about it.
Actually, we have had conversations, so I was familiar with it. And one of the things that just impressed me initially when we talked a couple months ago is just how strong you guys are coming out of the gate. I mean, you have so much work done in your, your business plan, and you really have a lot done already. So that's great. Can you talk a little bit about your plans for sustainability? And I also wanted to mention, sorry, before you answer that, that I do see there as overlapping services in our community, but in my opinion, you are complementing other services that, while, like you mentioned, the women's community might be providing some of that, you complement each other in the things that you're providing. So just a comment there, but
sure,
you can speak to sustainability.
Sure. Sustainability is actually something that we have reworked and have updated in our business plan quite a bit, because we recognize obviously the importance of that. So one of the intentions in getting our church and business sponsors is that helping us get off the ground here for these 3 years, but then we will have 3 years of history to show them the efficacy of what we're doing here. And we're very confident that we will get more of those, and they're very open to continuing to support us. Also, during that 3 years, we're creating and widening our broad base of donors. So just in the last 3 or 4 months, we've reached out and we're starting to maybe 500-600 individual donors. We are going to start really targeting and addressing and making the greater community more aware, so that our donor base continues to grow over that time as well. Any other thoughts on that?
Well, and the other thing is we're really excited about our first fundraising event this year, because we have 250 seats. So we'll be reaching out to, how we've addressed that, we've asked people we know to be hosts. And so they're reaching out to their network of people to bring them to the event. And we're hoping just by creating that community awareness that, that can be an annual event and that it'll just keep growing over time.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Anne.
Thank you. Great presentation, and impressed with the partnerships that you are creating. And I don't know if I caught it. I know that you mentioned it's 3 months at the women's community. How long are you looking at for a time frame for each family?
Thank you. That's a great question. I don't think we did cover that, did we? We are looking at 6 to 18 months. So we will be taking applications. We are not an emergency shelter. We want to be very intentional that women understand kind of the process, and it'll be hard work when they're here, but worthwhile. And so we want to know where they're at as far as motivation and commitment to really use this time wisely. And so once they are in our doors, we will set up a very specific plan catered to what are their family needs. So it could be 6 months, it could be 18, but always working towards very specific goals that they are making advancements with the goal of being self-sustainable on their own.
And just to add to that, one of the things is any issue that brings you into the home, we are open to. The only thing that would probably get you to have to leave the home is if you're not making progress on those goals that have been set. So there is that accountability piece that in talking with, other places that can provide funding and resources to provide a home for women, there's not that underlying addressing of the root causes that have caused that situation in the first place.
Thank you for that, because I appreciate the fact that you are empowering people and not enabling them. And I did like the part where you are looking at doing the budgeting, the job opportunities, and the mentoring program, all of those things. Nice work. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne.
Well, good morning, ladies. I don't have a whole lot to add. For everybody's benefit, the Davis Foundation. Amanda and I have been in contact with Jessica and Deanne, and we've met with them, and we've been sharing some emails. And the sustainability question that Pam brought up was one that we've been talking with them about. And you know, I echo what Ann said, is that empowering is so much stronger than enabling. And so I don't really have any additional observations at this point in time, that because of what's all been brought up, and wish you well. And I think it would be really great if you were able to secure you know, a really major funder for a big chunk.
You know, I just want to say for Jessica and I, you know, obviously the fundraising portion is kind of new to us, but certainly with meeting with many of the faces we see on the screen, we have been just overwhelmed with how supportive and educating and just how open everyone is to help us. We just really appreciate that.
I think that you ladies are probably an example of, if you have a passion for what you're doing, you will very likely make it work. So thank you for the passion that you have with your project. Just for time factor, I know we have a lot of questions we could ask, but just for time factor, we will be moving on to our next, thank you ladies, we will be moving on to Marathon County Literacy Council. Connie Heidemann is with us this morning.
Thank you, Sue. Hi,
Morning,
everyone.
Connie.
The reason I'm here is to ask for your support and to actually get a lot of advice for our new multicultural literacy center. And that will be a part of the actual MCLIT, Marathon County Literacy Center. WASA is experiencing a lot of growth right now with a new program and in our community with ECDC. The Literacy Council has a very strong ESL student base, and it's available to all people. We're free. The Literacy Council has clients and experience with English as a second language. We try to have a welcoming atmosphere at all times for anybody who's willing to learn. English as a second language is basic to making our community a little bit safer and a little bit understanding to all of the new things that we are learning about other people. Next slide. Thanks, Jenna. In 2014, I moved back to Wausau, and I was looking for something to do in my retirement. Found the Literacy Council had been taken over by Wood County, and they asked me if I would take it, Literacy Council, back to Marathon County. We're the largest county in the state. So in 2017, I was able to gain reinstatement of our 501c3. At that time, the Literacy Council was in a small room at the library. After a year, we moved into the upper part of Salvation Army, where we had 3 larger rooms. And by 2020, when COVID hit, the Literacy Council had again outgrown its space. We were forced to move out of that building because of USDA, COVID, all the other restrictions. The library took advantage of COVID and closed longer than we all expected for their beautiful renovations they've completed, and for safety. And then our students were still contacting me when they would see me on the street and ask if we could meet somewhere. So after I started looking for new places, I walked into Yankee's bookstore, and she mentioned that the place next door was going to be empty. We were able to get the building downtown, and we are on a bus route. We are next to the bookstore where I'm constantly buying books for my students. It became the perfect spot for us to meet. After spreading the word about us, we continued to grow even during COVID. We were able to build a computer lab that we didn't have before. We have larger and more rooms for tutoring, mentoring, and for testing. The amazing growth of the students, as well as the building size within a short time, has shown hopefully some strong leadership and willingness of volunteers that will help make this Wausau a stronger and a smarter place. Because of our successes and growth with the Literacy Council, we believe we could do the same thing with our refugee project. And we are strongly involved in the refugee resettlement. And part of that, we're hoping to make a multicultural literacy center. MCLIP believes the evidence of strong literacy over this last 7 period time is proof that the literacy is strong, that we can successfully build this multicultural center, and that with the ECDC program coming into Wausau, we'll be able to accommodate and have more increased learners and new participants with our Literacy Council. Next slide. Being selected as a promising, caring community, we are proud that Wausau was chosen by the federal government and the ECDC, federal program. The biggest part of welcoming and sharing this information was for us to find a new location. And in our new location, we will have many new languages, new to the area, but we're also going to be seeing a lot of traumatized people. We are hoping to have a very rewarding area. We are starting to design our own new logo for this part of our business. We are hoping to include the literacy as such a big function of our multicultural growth in the Wausau area. The next slide. The Literacy Council has given us much thought and consideration on how we can actually help people in this new endeavor that's coming to Wausau. So we have been able to use our past experiences and improve some of our thoughts from what we've learned through the Literacy Council. One of the new ideas has been one-on-one tutoring. We've learned that that has become a big benefit to a lot of people that are taking longer to learn a new language. That is one of our biggest compliments from our students and from our learners. We have been able to lease a couple of classrooms, one for male and one for female, because we are expecting that we'll probably get Afghanistan refugees sooner than we had expected. The rooms are being decorated with multicultural pieces and facts from around the world to show that our investment is in everyone, in everything that happens, that we are not just a small centered county, that we are interested in what's going on in all parts of the world, including what may be in their past and in lives of the family members that did not get to come. The idea that the world has many choices and experiences is something we want to share with Marathon County and Wausau area. This new program, we will first try to reach the basic communications of survival, such as learning to name their own names, their addresses, giving a phone number, just in case of an emergency. Then we want to get an understanding of our basic home appliances so that they're safe in their homes, and learning technology. Now, somebody questioned me about that. Do you mean they don't know how to turn on a stove or how to use appliances? They have appliances in the country they're in. And if you've traveled around the world, things have different little knobs, switches, connections. And if you can't read on and off or right and left, all of a sudden you're rather confused. And it's just a matter of teaching how America has set up their systems in running the different appliances. It's not that they don't know how to use them. Even some of our computers are a little bit different, especially when they have characters and we have our alphabet written the way we do. And they're used to having all of their different things written in their own language. We also are right now looking into our classroom. Doesn't have computers and we don't have Wi-Fi. So that's part of what we're asking for. We're asking for to start off more like a seed money project of about $120,000 to get started and to run this program our first year. We will be writing grants for this, and we are doing our first fundraiser this year. I'm excited about that. December 4th, we will have a breakfast with the Grinch. And so we will have raffles. We will have a little Grinch store. We will be letting people take pictures. So we're hoping that our fundraiser will help us build part of our classrooms to be more modern with the computers and stuff for our students. We did take a lot of the things we had from the Literacy Council over to the classrooms. These pictures were taken a few days ago and we're working there regularly. One of the tables you can see is starting to get things piled up. United Way is helping with some of our bilingual books, which will also be a big, we're never really 100% sure what kind of refugees we might get. We've decided we're definitely getting Afghanistans in our own heads. So we've been buying bilingual of Darcy and Pashto, which would help the Afghanistan people. We will be changing as other different nationalities are moving into our area. The seed money would hopefully get us started just for our first year. I do have a budget. I didn't put it on slides. I was trying to keep my slides minimal, but we do have a budgets. We do have some plans made out. We haven't started talking to people. The first couple grants I started talking to people about, they want to know who it is we're servicing, how many, their sexes, their ages, and we're still, as you know, we're all still waiting in the community for what's going to actually be here. We also would like to mention that we are 90% volunteers. I am 100% volunteer. I do not get any salary. So we do save on a lot of those costs. We still need internet and phone services, some office and education supplies, our marketing costs. We haven't paid our rent yet for our rooms. We have the money, but they're being kind enough to wait until the refugees are actually getting here. The cultural part is going to grow right out of our literacy teaching and will help us as we start learn more and more from the community what they want to know about the culture of our different people that we are teaching, and it'll help us hopefully learn what the people want to know so they can better communicate as well as share everything from food to ideas. And I'm sure they're coming with a lot of great ideas that they can share with us too. So that's what my project is, and hopefully that's what we plan on building, starting with our 2 classrooms, just like I started in my 1-room library. Thank you.
Connie, great presentation, and very timely right now as we are expecting the refugees to be coming in the next month or so, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, Ian, you didn't get to go first yet. We'll let you go first this time.
Thank you. Just a couple of comments. First of all, will the Neighbors Place be doing English as a second language as they have done in the past, or will you be taking over that part?
We have talked with quite a few different agencies because a lot of them do ESL. We have talked with Job Service. They have templates. They have all of their regular stuff for Job Service. Although we do work with them, some of the people that struggle do come for our one-on-one service after they get hooked up with Job Service. We will be working with Neighbors Place. We've been talking quite extensively with Neighbors Place. They are looking into some of the world food distribution so that we can get more of the foods that will help the refugees. They actually had closed down their ESL programs earlier and given us at the Literacy Council a lot of materials they had. Now that we are getting into this program, in the last 6 months, we've been talking quite a bit more, definitely about food, nutrition, about cooking. We're hopefully in their new spot, they're going to have commercial kitchens, and so we'll be able to do some cooking classes. So this will be a very ongoing thing for a long time. This isn't something that we plan on helping them for a short time and that'll be it. The thing with Literacy Council is we'll be getting them right away with very limited They will have a host, they will have a actual tutor, and they'll have a mentor. So I don't know if that's going to be per family or if it's going to be per person, but we will be taking them to Neighbor's Place. We'll be showing them what they're doing. Neighbor's Place is going to jump right in and be working with all of the food parts, which will help us. So when we're working on jobs or something else, there's so much to learn with literacy that being able to split it up. NTC is very anxious. These people will be, that are coming, are very intelligent. They have degrees in their own country. They need to be taking tests in America, so they're qualified. So NTC wants to start getting into some of the programs with our students as soon as their vocabulary is well enough to jump into their schooling process. So yeah, we've been reaching out to quite a few places, and they've been reaching out to us also, that we can spread the wealth of teaching literacy all over the community. There's so many different facets to literacy. We ourselves have found that and that's why we grew so quickly, we not only do the basic reading and writing, but we work with the computers and teaching them computers and how to use the cell phones. We work with people in the job hunting. We work with Share a Story, which is children 2 to 5 before they start school, parents reading in books, recognizing the pictures in the books, children just learning to love the books. We work with people with driver's license, finding apartments, a lot of forms they don't know how to fill out or forms that confuse. If they're confusing us, I'm imagining that someone that doesn't know our language real well is going to really be confused. So we have enough literacy to spread.
Thank you. 2 things. I like the fact that you're doing basics with appliances and things like that. And as you said, anyone who's traveled knows exactly what you're talking about. And the second thing is, have we looked at on the opposite way of having any type of one-on-one classes for our community to learn how to say, good morning or thank you in different languages? Have we looked at anything from that standpoint?
We have talked. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We have talked about it quite a bit, is emerging our community into what is coming here and what their lifestyles are like. And that's basically how the start of the Multicultural Center actually came to be, was with those discussions. The first thing we're waiting for, and this is what's holding up my grant writing and everything else, is we need to know for sure which people are coming. Back when ECDC was first coming, we were told we were getting Congolese. And so it would have been a whole different type of languages and culture habits that they would have brought with them. So now these evacuations started halfway into this process with the ECDC. So now that we're changing it to the Afghanistan, we're switching over, and we're finding some really cool books that will introduce real basic things, I hope, to the people. Wassa people, American people.
Thank you, Connie.
Sure.
I'm ready.
Hi, Pam.
Hi. Thank you, Connie. I think you've pretty much covered anything I would have had a question about, or, in the follow-up with Anne. I just really appreciate the 180 you've done with the organization since taking it on. So, it's always fun to see the foot traffic coming in, right downtown, and just congratulations on that, and thank you.
Thank you. And that's exactly what we hope to do with the multicultural area. And like Anne said, it's to teach Wassa people more than it is to teach anybody else, is the differences that are coming.
Right.
There's a lot of people that were born and raised here that have not gone very far from our state. So they aren't sure of all of this strange stuff.
Good.
Hi, Connie.
Hi, Jeff.
Yeah, a couple of things. I think, and I know slides don't tell the story, and you did tell the story. And I think that in a fundraising sense, you ought to tell the story. This to me strikes me as an ideal opportunity for kind of a community-wide, what can I do? The $25 gifts and that type of thing. There's a lot of people that not everybody can volunteer, but people might say, well, we'd be willing, we'll write out a check for $25 or $50 or whatever. And you're probably not set up for that kind of fundraising effort, but you might talk with Sue and the Community Foundation, and they could act on your behalf, and they handle all of that, and then it's just a matter of getting the word out. Because I think when people get here, and it was back when the Southeast Asians came here, particularly the Hmong, there were people that wanted to help, but they didn't really know how, and there just wasn't a good effort back then. But here we're a little bit more organized, a little bit more experienced, having gone through it before. So that might be an opportunity to get a lot of support, financial support that could mean ongoing financial support. And it doesn't have to be big checks, but you don't want to burden your volunteers with having to write letters and do that administrative stuff. And maybe that is an opportunity to talk to the Community Foundation.
Thank you. That's an excellent idea.
And Jeff, that's a really good point. One thing that the Community Foundation will be doing with this particular presentation, which was recorded, that's going to be made available to all of our donor advised fund holders. So your presentations are going to be open to over 130 different potential funders through donor advised funds. So we start there, and we'll continue to do what we can to support all these projects in any way we can.
Well, and mine is really just starting to sit up. So I hope to come back and have all of the information, such as Bridge Clinic and Hager House had, I'll have a spot in mind. Like I said, we're leasing some classrooms right now. So if we can actually build up this multicultural center, and I can come back and say, look, this is what we've got.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we're looking forward to seeing all these proposals probably within the Community Foundation. Again, just to keep things moving, we'll be opening up and asking everybody to turn their video and whatever back on for the possibility of some internal chat with all of the nonprofits that are sitting in the audience with us right now. Any final comments from any of the funders or any questions for the funders? I just want to make a comment about the Community Foundation itself.
Because I can't.
We do have one more grant cycle in December. And as I had mentioned, we do have about $150,000 to award yet. We do not like to leave that on the table. We do like to get that out into your hands. So please feel free to apply for something that might be appropriate to do so. So any other questions, any comments from the funders that are on hand? Jeff, what is your funding cycles again?
Brothers, big sisters.
We don't necessarily have a cycle. We look at the whole year in its entirety. If something comes up, if a grant comes up, we push it to a scheduled board meeting. But if there's an emergency situation, we address it. We can address it before the board meeting. I can do that with the board. We generally have 6 board meetings a year, so it's like every other month. Our next one's in December.
So at this point, if anybody has any comments, feel free to raise your hand and let's get a little chat going for about 15 minutes, and we'll close our nonprofit session here. Pam Jackson, do you have any closing comments?
Just thank you everybody for making your presentations, and I think it's really exciting to see some things we have upcoming in the community, just to make continue to make Wausau a great place to live. Okay. So thank you everybody.
Okay, last opportunity. Connie, go ahead.
Just to ask from everybody, we are always looking for advice, and I'll definitely be contacting Jeff Stubbe, but we're always looking for advice and trying to stay on track with making sure that we are fulfilling all the needs of what we can. So anybody, if you have any ideas, call us, email us, text us, do whatever, but we're welcome. We're open to all advice we can get.
Go ahead, Zach.
Hey, Sue. Yeah, very informative. So appreciate the examples and the presentations. But general question for you as you look from the community foundation side, certainly you have your parameters for what they look to support. Still feels a little bit ambiguous. Anything before the end of the year that you feel the community foundation is especially leaning into or looking at with a greater level of receptivity?
Sure. And you can help me out with this as well. The Community Foundation, we're looking for things that are tangible, things that are going to make a high impact on the community. We do not fund operational type expenses. So in other words, if it's something that the committee looks at and they think it should come out of your budget, they likely would not fund it. We do, and I know you're with Faith Christian Academy, we do run into that little part of our guidelines that say we do not fund sectarian causes. And I know that that has been an issue with some organizations in the past, and don't want to single you out, but I just wanted to put that on the table. Just something that we have in our guidelines for now. And so the type of things that are funded, needs within the organization. Maybe it's a new computer system, maybe it's new equipment, maybe it's help me out, Ian, a little bit.
Recreational, different things with trails or playground equipment or things of those nature. Another major point is the committee definitely looks at what the agency is putting in as well, so that to make sure that basically they have skin in the game as well. So that's been a major thing that the committee looks at. We do have two youth members on the distribution committee, and they do add an awful lot to the committee, and we're excited to welcome a new member at our next meeting. So.
Okay.
As Jeff had said, capital campaigns have kind of taken up a lot of our funding in the last couple of years too, it seems. But we definitely want to see those things that are going to help your organization move it forward and do something maybe different, maybe something enhancing a program you're already doing. And it sounds kind of ambiguous yet.
Yeah.
So we can have some more conversation though, Zach. I'm more than happy to.
Okay, that sounds good.
Any other comments for anybody? Anybody have any exciting news they want to share with this group? We like to have that as well. Anything big coming up? It's a good time to share.
I could add a little clarity around this pedestrian bridge and state grant opportunity. It's a little bit frustrating when the information that gets out into the community through the media isn't exactly accurate. And so I'll just share this. As a result of the CARES Act, which was the COVID money, the state was granted a couple $100 million that the federal government is saying, you got to spend it. You spend it or lose it. And so the state has been very aggressive in contacting communities and letting them know that this money's there because it's got to be spent. And we're fortunate that a couple of the people on the committee for the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation have some WASA ties, and they were aware of the city's involvement in the mall project and what was happening, and they contacted a few people and said, well, what's going on with that? Is that project, you know, they weren't even aware that the mall had been demolished, and they said, are you getting close to shovel ready, because that's what you need? And so they said, well, this money would be available to the city. It's called the neighborhood plan, and that money is going to be spent in some community in Wisconsin. And so we encourage the city, the economic development people with the city, to look into this grant and see if they could put together an application. And in fact, the two foundations agreed to provide some additional funding should this happen. And so moving forward with the application. Now, a lot of the city council members felt that, well, that money could be used for other things. The problem is the rules for the money there were certain things it could be used for. I mean, it wasn't designed for affordable housing. It wasn't designed for all these other things that people are saying that's what it should be used for. There was only a couple of things, and that was really the only shovel-ready project we had. And really what they were looking for were things that were economic impact of COVID. And downtown Wausau lost 500 to 700 workers to people working at home. They're not working downtown anymore. That's affected businesses. The mall, we never really had a chance to do redevelopment of the mall because COVID hit and the store's revenue went right down and nobody could afford to pay any rents. And so the mall was losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. Keeping it open just wasn't an option. So before we could even figure out what we were going to do, the mall had to shut down. So this was truly a COVID event. And this is exactly what this grant was for. So the city has applied for that grant. Unfortunately, trying to get some of the council members to understand that all of the other things that they'd rather see the money spent on, that particular money isn't available for that. So, but for whatever reason, they didn't care. I think we got a good chance at getting the grant, and I wanted to just kind of share what that was all about, because the information that's being shared isn't really on point.
And actually, that makes a great point, that all grant programs, whether we're applying for something through the state or the federal government or through a local foundation, all grant programs have specific goals and missions for what they want to spend their money on. So hopefully, as nonprofits, as a community, we have the projects and programs that meet those goals. So we are closing in on the 10:30 mark. I would like to put up the applause button here and thank our panel, both the nonprofit presenters as well as the foundation leaders that took the time this morning to meet with us. I think that Pam, Jeff, and myself, and we all extend the invitation for any of you that would like to come and talk to us about any of your projects or programs that you have coming up. Doors are open, right? Okay. So thank you very much for your time today. Have a great holiday season, and we look forward to some of the programs that we have coming up in the coming year. I just want to let you know, some of you may be interested. We will be doing a nonprofit management institute again next year. We'll be partnering with NTC on a 36-hour program. I know some of you have already done that program with us in the past. 36 hours of nonprofit management. It's a certificate program. The Community Foundation and Wisconsin Public Service Foundation will be providing some funding so that it is made affordable to you. The 36-hour course will only cost you not more than $150. We'll let you know about that as it gets developed more, but whether you're a new executive or someone who is within your organization looking to grow in the organization, it's something you might want to look at. Otherwise, keep an eye on our website for any other nonprofit information that we put out occasionally. So again, happy holidays to everyone. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.